Hey!
Hey, what's going on, friends?
We good.
So good to see you guys.
Good to see you. What time is it there?
At 7 p.m.
7 p.m. It's 10 a.m. here in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're just getting the day started. You guys are, how is the future? You guys are living in the future.
It is good. The supper was good. Yeah.
It's great. That's great to know.
Yeah.
Man, it's so good to see your faces. How you guys doing in the quarantine?
Yeah, we're good. We are finishing a second week. So tomorrow is our second week of full lockdown.
Full lockdown.
And so some people are getting cabin fever. I don't think it's hit our home, but we're trying to navigate for friends.
Yeah,
as
I love
against serious cabin fever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys?
Oh, we're good. I'm the extrovert. Diana's the introvert. And so she's like,
I'm in heaven.
Loving life.
like jokes on you, quarantine. I like it.
All the OCD people are also loving the hand wash and the sanitizer.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
I'm all about it. I've got this stuff. I've been brushing my teeth with it. Just anything you can do, right?
So gross.
Awesome. I even know some people are brushing their teeth in quarantine. So,
I haven't thought about the rationing, the brushing.
Yeah, some guys. Yeah.
We aren't allowed out the house, literally.
Yeah.
So, like,
In South Africa, you're not allowed out the house.
you
Yeah.
only allowed to go to the shop for essentials, like only food, basically, and medical supplies and doctor's appointments. And the police will arrest you if you go for any other reason. If you take a walk, you will be arrested.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's a really good thing because, of course, our country has so many immunocompromised people.
Yes.
And so if the coronavirus had to hit the immunocompromised, we would be in serious trouble. So,
What is the stat? Million-wise?
well, they're saying we have 2 million, HIV positive patients that are not on treatment. We have millions who are on treatment.
Right.
So their immune systems are better, but we have 2 million that are not on any treatment. So they would have zero immunity. So that's why they're being so strict with us.
No,
Yeah.
I totally understand.
Yeah. So it's a good
I
thing.
have a question for you, Leanne. Some of our friends on this side that are joining in, they don't know that your church is located in South Africa. But tell us what you do professionally, because you have all of this information, and a lot of our friends want to know why do you know this? How do you know this information? So just tell us about your profession.
Yeah, so I am a medical doctor. And yes, I was in private practice in family medicine for about 9 years. And then 2 years ago, I left the practice and started working at the church, and we run a health center at our church. It's growing, but at the moment, the health center only serves vulnerable women and children. So we're 98% HIV positive, our clinic.
Wow.
We've unfortunately actually had to close down during lockdown.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because we don't have the means to fight the COVID-19. So we don't have like isolation so unfortunately we're not running at the moment. So they're very strict. The government have been very strict. It's all going through government institutions and but I run the health center, and we get to help literally the most vulnerable people who are wondering, how they're going to survive the week food wise. Health is a big issue. Yeah, so that's a real privilege. And the clinic's growing, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, in the next phase, we've got our first phase ready to go, and that will mean elderly will also get help. So we extend
pensioners in the church and the community. So
So
it's exciting.
good.
I love both of you, your heart for others. You carry the message of Jesus so well to those struggling with HIV in South Africa, to the elderly and the poor. You guys exemplify the hands and feet of Jesus so well. Yeah. It's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, well, just to give our South African sort of viewers a look in, a lot of them would know who you guys are, that you guys run the Fellowship Church in the San Francisco Bay Area. I think you've launched your third campus. Is that correct?
We were going to launch on March 15th. Yeah. And that was the first weekend we could no longer meet. So we haven't launched it officially. But it's crazy. I started a series called So Others May Know 2 weeks before all this hit. And Andre, it was the Lord. because it's all about personal evangelism, like how to share your faith personally. Because I felt so convicted after spending some time with John Maxwell. He's become a great mentor of mine. And we were talking, and we started filling it out like, man, there's been way too many people that trust their pastor only to tell their friends about Christ. Like, nobody's winning their friends to Christ. It's just, hey, come to church, come to church. Like, that's the big win. And so 2 weeks before this, I said, guys, we've got to change our message from come and see to go and tell. And so just been training them, and you can go watch it, online or whatever. But I feel like the great next awakening and the next revival is not going to come from another worship song, another conference. It's going to come from the average Christian winning their friends to Christ, but they need to know how.
Yeah. And I think right now people have so much fear around what's happening in the world, and also the doomsday preachers. But the greatest sign of the end times is actually the gospel preached, and that's in our hands. You know what I mean? And so anything that takes us off that, let's sort of not look away from, and let's keep looking at our responsibility in this season. Just keep preaching the gospel. And of course, the platform has just got even stronger now. And who would have thought social media was built for the gospel, and like it has been?
Well, I think, we're calling this fishing season. Jesus came to his first disciples, is like, hey, guys, follow me. I'm going to make you fishers of men. And we've been claiming, even before this whole thing started, this is fishing season. But the crazy thing is we've exchanged our fishing pole for like fishing nets, because we're reaching so many more thousands of people. The gospel is going to places we couldn't go. And some people wouldn't go, but the message is going out in a greater way.
Awesome. Well, we of course have asked you guys to join us because we know you guys carry so much wisdom around your marriage, around raising kids. Of course, all the wisdom on that side.
Just to say as well, just for the people that are watching, from Table View, a lot of people would know Pastor Dianna from Ladies Conference. She was amazing. Our women love you. But also
I love you. I love all of you.
The best. And Pastor Shaun is also amazing. Andre has had the privilege of going to your church twice, and
we've stolen everything you do.
Everything.
I don't think as Pastor Chris said, they make it better. We've just stolen it, and we're trying to make it better.
We've modeled ourselves after you guys a lot, and so just our church knows you're a couple we really look up to, and you inspire us. So we're so blessed to actually have this time with you. So thank you. We know how busy
we love you guys.
Thank you.
You guys are doing, we're learning as well through this whole situation. I think everybody's pivoting and learning from each other. I think the body of Christ is more united than ever before. And that's what I love about this. I will be coughing a lot through this. It's not Corona. I checked 3 times. The doctors checked 3 times. It's not Corona. So,
3 tests.
I know everybody's, now that I say it, I feel the urge to cough. But
6 feet, babe, 6 feet.
I know.
6 feet.
Come on. Instagram never prepped for this,
I know, it's crazy, but I am grateful for the both of you, and thank you for saying those kind words. Our heart really is to be the biggest blessing we could be in this season.
You blessed us already beyond what you'd know. But I'm going to ask Leanne to ask the first question. Got people tuning in around marriage and parenting.
Yes.
So first one.
Okay, so this is really a 2-part question. And it says, as a couple that have seen many years of marriage and raising kids to early adulthood, what would you say are the most important things to focus on, firstly, in having a marriage that thrives, and secondly, raising kids successfully with a love for God's kingdom?
There's a lot of questions in there, and it's good. And we're going to take the next 3 hours and answer all of them.
We've got time. It was a lockdown year.
What are we going to do? Well, Dianna and I have been married for 21 years, and we had 22 years, and we had kids right away. Like 3 months in, she's pregnant, and then we had 4 daughters under the age of 2.
That's mind-blowing.
2-year-old, 1-year-old, twins were 0. You've seen like a double stroller or double pram. We had a triple pram and one on a leash. You just do what you got to do. But so we had to navigate family really fast, and it was rough at first. Like our first year of marriage was not good.
No.
HE double hockey sticks, you know, it was bad because I had a wrong view of marriage. We come in and people say, you know, like before marriage, opposites attract. That's what you typically marry your opposite. Afterwards, marriage and your opposites attack. You know,
I like that.
everything changes. You're like, who is this person? And marriage really reveals who you are. And I love whatever you think about online dating. Some people are like, oh, don't do it. Other people are like, oh, I'll do it. Whatever you think about it. The guy who started eHarmony had a great statement. He said, get yourself healthy before you get yourself married. That's good.
Yeah.
Because if you're half a man, you're going to attract half a woman.
Wow.
If you're half a woman, you're going to attract half a man. It's only when you become a full man in Christ with the Lord that you would then attract a whole woman of God. And a lot of people think marriage is 50-50. It's not 50-50.
No.
That's an F on any test, you know.
Yeah.
It's a fail. It's 50 plus 50 is 50 in marriage. It's where you're giving 100, she's giving 100. And the best marriage really is between two servants. Like, who can outserve each other? Talk to this a little bit, babe.
I think one of the revealers of relationships is during this quarantine time. And it tells a lot about us as a family. Either we're connected or disconnected. And so if you've been disconnected for such a long time, you are going to sense like this, almost like this tug of war in the home until you become one, until you're in sync, until you're flowing. And so I think the number one thing is time. The best gift that you can give your partner, your spouse, is time. And time is what's being tested right now. You're spending a lot of time with your other half, right?
Yeah.
You're beginning to know them on a deeper level. You're tripping over each other's space. And if you're not giving room for the other partner, that lets me know you're a selfish person. And if you
so selfish. Oh, it's a epidemic in our pandemic.
Whatever. He's easy to love, people. He's easy to love.
Excuse me. Again, not Corona.
Yeah.
So, but if you are, you know, like going into the momentum
Getting a cough drop.
if you are going into the momentum of now it's different. You're spending time. You're beginning to kind of become one. You are letting go of things that used to annoy you. You're apologizing a little bit more. Now you're helping out with dishes. Now you're throwing out the trash. Before it was an annoyance, you know, but now it's like, oh, I understand now. Why? Because of time. So I think number one, that's the key. The best gift that you can give your spouse is the time of your attention, the time of your influence, the time of, you know, just beginning to learn, grow, and study the person that you're married to instead of just coexisting in the same space.
That's really good. I think there's three things that make or break a marriage: communication, sex, and money. Communication is the number one, and that's the problem. It's like the old school phone lines; they're down in most relationships. And just because you're talking doesn't mean you're communicating. Like, communication is not mutual talking; it's mutual understanding. And it's understanding. Ephesians talks about this, and there's a great curriculum called Love and Respect that you can get and go through as a couple. But it changed our marriage because the idea of a marriage being self-centered, like I'm in this for me, it's a very selfish approach. That's worldly. That's a worldly approach. My job is to serve her. Ephesians says, love your wives as Christ loved the church. Well, his love, we're celebrating this week. He died for the church, sacrificed for the church. His love never fails. Well, the Bible also goes on to say, wives, respect your husbands. And some women might think, well, why do we have to respect him? And the Bible didn't say respect us. No, the Bible says submit to both. You know, if you interpret scripture with scripture. But, excuse me, the Lord knew that the deepest need of a human heart for a man is to be respected. I can't be in the same room with another guy who didn't respect me. Like, it's our air. Like, we can't breathe. And so if she's stepping on my air hose, not giving me respect, I'm not going to be just roll over and die. I'm going to say, get off of my air hose. I can't breathe. And I respond in a negative way. If she's not feeling loved, honored, and cherished, then she's not going to just roll over and die silently. She responds, "Get off of my air hose. I can't breathe." So it's this crazy cycle that love and respect talks about. It's without respect, he responds without love, and without love, she responds without respect. And it's this, it goes round and round and round. Where does it end? Only the divorce lawyers know. That's the worldly way. And sadly to say, it's also in the church. Harvard did a study, which is a college here, very, I'm sure you guys have all heard of it.
Yeah.
Ivy League college. But they did a study. I don't know why they did the study, but I'm really glad they did. They found out 1 in 3 marriages end in divorce. We have typically said 1 and 2, right? So 50%. They, in their studies, they discovered 1 in 3. Not good. But for a marriage that prays together, goes to church together, reads their Bible, and serves together, that number goes from 1 in 3 to 1 out of every 1,105.
Wow.
Yeah, sure.
That's the power of God's word. So I remember when we first got married. She's looking at some questions here and promoting some of this as well. But I remember when we first got married, I was so selfish. Guys, it was bad.
I think we were both selfish. I think we could be honest.
You were always an angel.
No, it's not that. We come in with a romantic ideal. I came from a different culture, very spicy, Latina, very headstrong mother. I came from that culture, and then to intermarry with someone who was of a different culture, those dynamics are different. He was raised by a mom who was very gentle with him, and so whenever we interacted,
Mama's boy. That's what she's saying.
Pretty much. But
did you just point to Andre too? She pointed to you behind your head. I love it.
But in those dynamics, it reveals your family culture, how you deal with life. For his mom, whenever they get in arguments, she would go in the bedroom, have the argument, come out and act as if nothing happened. But you could still feel the tension. Well, in my family, we hashed it out at the dinner table. We would raise our voices. I mean, that's the, yes, yeah. And I love your family, by the way. But just
I was fine until I turned around one day, and then I was hit by a frying pan. I'm kidding. She didn't do that. It was late. I'm also kidding.
I love Pastor Shaun.
It is, the Bible says the two become one, and we think it's like, here's two people running through the lilies, slow motion, like the Notebook. Oh, we're becoming one. It's like 2 Mack trucks, driving down the freeway and crashing, different cultures, different life, different family, different values.
And that's real talk. Those are the conversations that you have to hash out. You have to, come to terms, like a meeting of the minds, and talk about those things, cultural differences, letting go of some things, dying to some things in order for the marriage to survive. In other words, for the plan of God to survive and to thrive in the middle of the marriage. But when it comes to kids, because I think there's a second part to that question.
Well, let's dig a little bit deeper in this. Okay. And then I want you to talk about the kids in just a second. Okay. But the marriage part is so crucial, guys, because a lot of times we're kid focused, and we've got to be marriage focused. The kids are going to be there for 18, 19, 20, 35. No, that you should be moved out by then. But a lot of times what happens is we spend all of our time raising kids, and the kids grow up and we're like, who are you? And that's when a lot of marriages will divorce. They only stay together for the kids. Don't do that. You can listen. I have seen in the last 22 years marriages that were done. I'm over. I don't love you. It's like they said all the bad stuff. They're now thriving. They're now ministering to other families. They stay together. God can restore. He can bring hope and healing to any situation as long as he's in the equation.
Yeah.
Let me tell you my story, and I'll be a little vulnerable. All right. It's not easy for me to talk about. But our first year of marriage, I was very selfish. I was a youth pastor, so I could preach in front of, hundreds and hundreds of kids and people on Sunday morning and pray with a bunch of people, but I didn't pray with my wife. Well, we moved to Texas to help start a church. And while we're there, I had this wrong view of how this ought to be working, and it's not going well. She is not getting the love that she ought to be getting or deserve. And I'm in sales at this secular job, and I'm driving down the road listening to an old motivational Christian speaker named Zig Ziglar. He says, he tells a story. He says there was a tribe somewhere. He says where you imagine the tribe is irrelevant, but in this culture, if you want to marry somebody, you would give a dowry of 1 cow. That's what you would. Okay, and if the woman was really something special, she got 3 cows. Well, in this legend, there was a guy from another tribe who came and offered 10 cows to this one father's daughter. Now, it was the younger daughter. Nobody really paid her much attention. Nobody thought she was anything special, but this guy paid 10 cows for her. That's never happened in this particular tribe. So he took her away, got married, and about a year later, brought the girl back to the same tribe that she grew up in. Everybody thought, oh my goodness, look how graceful she is. Oh, she's stunning. Look at her. And everybody was so impressed with her. And the idea is that if you treat a woman like a 1 cow woman, she'll respond like a 1 cow woman. If you treat her like a 10 cow woman, she's going to respond like a 10 cow woman. Mm-hmm. Now, I know women don't like to have the word women and cow in the same sentence, but
in South Africa, people pay with cows still.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
In certain cultures, yeah.
It's called the border.
Well, I was driving another day, and I heard him say, and because I listened to him a lot, you ought to be spending as much time and energy investing in your marriage than any other relationship. Guys, I had to pull over. I literally pulled over the car because I remembered in Texas, I was in sales, and it was the last day that I can get a sale for me, to get a commission check for the cutoff of the month. I had the flu. So I'm my suit and tie on. It's hot in Texas. I'm about to vomit in the parking lot. And I'm like, I can't do it. Oh, I got to do it. I cinch my tie up, walk in, and I put on my happy face. Hey, how's it going? Shaun Nepstad here. And I close the deal. When I leave, I run out, and I'm sick in the parking lot. Okay, guys, it hit me. I went to all that trouble, all that work for somebody I don't even know. I can't remember their name, and I don't remember where I even spent that commission check. Mm-hmm. And yet I would walk home and ask Diana, first thing out of my mouth, what's for dinner? I remember her crying one day in our house on the floor. And she cried a lot in our first year of marriage, and I didn't get it. I would just kind of go stone cold. But something was different about this time. Like, it pierced my heart. And I said, what's wrong? She's crying on the floor. I'm sitting on the bed. And she looked at me with tears streaming down her face. She said, there's no honor. And I don't know what it was about that. Guys, it got my attention. I began to work on me. She's not the problem. When you go to a marriage, you don't go into a marriage trying to change them. You ask God, what do you want to change in me? Yeah. I was so selfish for the first, year of our marriage. I sought help, got some counseling, made myself accountable to some other people that they can call me on some stuff. And I began to pray, God, help me not be selfish in this thing, because I have not been loving her, honoring her, cherishing her as you have loved me. And anyway, that's one thing I think is very crucial. I think you need to honor the date night and keep it holy, man. Yeah. Once a week, just make sure that this is okay.
How would you suggest doing date nights in this season of lockdown for South Africans who are in total lockdown?
Yeah, well, we are too.
You guys also. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think you just get creative. I think one of the most memorable times in our marriage was it didn't cost much money at all. I got some rose petals that I think I probably stole from my neighbor. I made a sign on the door, and when she came home, it said the Nepstad Bed and Breakfast. Mm-hmm. And I told the girls, you stay downstairs. And so I had a bath running for her, and some cheese and crackers. I think the whole night might have cost me like $8. And I told her, I said, the night's about you. I said, I have no sexual expectations. I just want to talk. Mm-hmm. Okay. How many know that was a good night in the Nepstad house? Just because I wasn't putting any need first. It was, let's just talk. Let's just honor you. So it's getting creative that way. There's some resources online you can go to for, date experience ideas or questions. But I think the main thing is just spending time with each other and understanding what each other needs. Yeah. Like the deepest need of her, she wants FaceTime. She wants to talk. We have 5 women in my daughters and her in my life, and they talk a lot. And they want me to look at them. They want me to listen with my eyes. Yeah, I'll be typing or looking at something, and I've had all of them say, "Shaun, look at me," or "Dad, look at me." And so I think it's important. But guys need shoulder time. So it's not wrong, just different. Ladies, you need to understand this. Your husband may not want to talk as much as you. And as I'm saying that, I've been doing all the talking. Anyway, but talking to each other. We want to spend time. I want to spend time shoulder to shoulder. Let's watch something together. Let's golf. Let's, and she, as soon as I walk home, she wants to talk. Well, you have to give each other clues. And I'm talking a lot because we've done a lot of marriage conferences on that. But it's like, if she needs FaceTime and I don't know it, I'm going to say, "Babe, you talk so much." And then she says, "Hey, I need some FaceTime right now." Then that's a clue. Do-do-do-do. My little antenna goes up. Oh, this is a need she has. Not wrong, just different. So if I have a need, like, "Babe, I want to sit by each other," and just, she might think that's boring. But if I say I need shoulder time, giving clues, pretty soon she gets it. So it's like, hey, you never attack their character either. It's not like, talk about how sometimes we would say, I know this is not your heart, but what you said came across disrespectful, or what you said came across unloving.
Especially after like either a heated argument or things are at a certain level, then we start generalizing, like, you always, using those key phrases, you always do this, or you always, have this thing that you do. And when we use key phrases like that, it becomes accusatory. It becomes demeaning. You start accusing their character and basically battering their character, and puts them in a place where I don't know if that person can recover. And the best way to kind of combat that is to use keywords like, "You know what, I see this. Can we talk about this?" It's like putting a complaint at the table. Rephrasing phrases, even putting yourself on a timeout, walking away and not saying things that you'll regret. Because oftentimes when you are in heated spaces, heated conversations, we will have a tendency, men and women, to use phrases that it will accuse their character, demean their character, and it's hard to recover the preciousness of that person's character and bring it down to zero and not elevate it and bring it back to a sense of love in the relationship if you've already escalated to such a level with your words. I can't say this enough, especially with the women, because we're great with words. We think a lot. We know how to frame our words, our conversations. And when we have time to think to ourselves, we already have these parallel universes in our minds of what we're going to say, how we're going to say it, how we're going to combat it, explain our situation, just to prove and to have the person understand us instead of slowing down and listening to the partner. So certain clues like, let me walk away and come back to this. You know what? I'm really angry. Let me take some moments. I need to think about this. I can't talk to you right now. And that lets the person know, you know what? I'm not going to engage. Give her some time. We'll come back and talk about it.
We don't yell in our house. Which is hard for us. My she grew up in a home where yelling was kind of the norm.
It is the norm because, Spanish blood, being around the table, 25 siblings. We are very demonstrative.
So she came in. I was like, "Hey, we're not going to yell in our marriage. Like, I can't go through that forever." Which made her more mad, and she yelled a little bit more. But to this day, we don't yell. Yeah. But we do have intense fellowship. You know what I mean? I remember one argument we were having. We were just not seeing eye to eye. I mean, it was so frustrating, and she's starting to cry, and I'm just so angry. And I just stopped. I literally stopped in the conversation. I said, "Wait a second. So what I'm about to say is not sarcastic. I mean it with all my heart. I have not been trying to understand you. I've just been trying to get my point across. Yeah. So let me take a breather. Hold on just a second. I'm going to ask you to say what you said again, but this time I'm going to try to hear your heart on this. Guys, it deflated the whole thing. And we came to, you're not going to agree on everything eye to eye, but you can understand. I think it's crazy is we speak to our spouse like we would not speak to anybody else in the world.
Not a dream team member, not a church member,
not your boss,
not a pastor, not your boss.
And yet there's so much freedom to just go off on your spouse. Man, that's not right.
Yeah, that's so true.
So communication, I think, affects intimacy and affects money. So those are the top three. But I think you need to go just write down. We do this exercise. Write down 3 things that you need from your spouse, and they write down 3 things that they need from you. Just do that as a date night, and then read it out. And typically, what will happen is at the top of every man's list would be some type of physical touch, intimacy, something along those lines. So don't badger or make fun of your husband for having that need. It might be a need that you don't have at the top of your list, but it's still a need. Okay, listen, everybody. Everybody has different needs. And hers might be, I need you to spend more time with me. I need you to honor me. But what it does is you read each other's lists and then you talk about it. And it's like you grew up in a home with a different love language. That's another great book, 5 Love Languages. And it's like, let me see if I remember them all. It's gifts, words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, and touch and affection. So we all feel love differently. For instance, it's a parable or story like a wife grew up in a home where the love language was gifts, and a man grew up in a home where the love language was words of affirmation. They get married, and for a year, he's giving words of affirmation. You're the best wife in the world. I love you. Couldn't ask for a better wife. And after a year, she doesn't feel loved because that's not how she feels love. Yeah. She grew up in a home where the love language was gifts. And after a year, she's like, enough with all the words. Can I see some product rolling here? Like, again, not wrong, just different. So find out what your love language is. You can even go to the 5 Love Language website and take that test and discover it. But it's huge.
Very good.
Awesome. You guys have already answered so many of the questions we had with so much wisdom this year. We're going to leave this up on Instagram and try to get this on our Facebook page because I think people need to watch this again. But just quickly around your family life and your children, what could hurt our children the most in this season? As we navigate working from home, of course, you guys have homeschooled your kids. So a lot of people all of a sudden now homeschooling their children in our country and they've never done it. And just the pressured environment with even the news feed that's speaking about COVID-19. So what do you think could hurt children the most in this season?
I think right now what I've seen the most as far as the pulse across the globe is fear. When they see mom and dad not secure, they will feel a sense of insecurity. They will feel unstable. Or unstable. They will feel a sense of like, this does not feel safe. Home doesn't feel like it's a refuge for me. And if you look back in the book of Exodus, where it accounts for what the home will look like, especially during Passover, God established a way, a rhythm to have the angel pass over them. And so I think right now the Lord is strategizing and giving us a strategy as believers of how to hunker down, create a plan, create a schedule, some consistency where the kids know that mom and dad's faith is stable. If they believe in God of the universe, I will believe in the God of the universe because mom and dad, I could see that mom and dad, God pulled through for mom and dad. God will pull through for me as well. Does that make sense?
That's great.
Great. It's important for children not only to see it, but to also sense it, to feel it. Worship music in the home, huge. Put on worship music constantly. Classical music with no words, just, playing in the background. It's amazing. Secondly, being outdoors, go in your backyard.
They can't go outdoors right now, huh? in South
Well,
Africa?
you could
Well,
go outdoors in your backyard.
No gardens, so that's,
Yeah. So you could go in your backyard, just sit in the sun. If you have sun during this time, sit in the sun, absorb some vitamin D, and create times with your little ones, you know, painting, sculpture, woodworking, whatever craft materials. If they're teenagers, just sitting out there with their mobile devices and asking them questions. Hey, why don't you show me how to use Instagram? Just little conversation starters like that. They would love to tell you about Instagram.
How does this thing work?
Thirdly, especially if you have adult children now living with you and they are sheltering in place with you or on lockdown, it's important to have the family table be a focus. So prepare a meal together. Prepare a meal together. Do a recipe. One's in charge of the salad, the other one's in charge of the entree, the other one is in charge of setting the table. Whatever you can do to create a rhythm of, this is what Passover looks like for us right now in the middle of something that is very extreme. We know God is in it, but the more you say it out loud, it will catch in the atmosphere, and the children will have that word, that language inside of them. I believe those are two things.
We probably will not be able to gather again as a church until August 1st. Like, this is what we're being told. But what an incredible opportunity for families to connect again, and for, you know, the priest of the home to step up again and to begin to converse. There's so many kids that with their parents are just ships passing in the night. There's no conversation. There's no meals together. Busy, 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 busy. And yes, it's pandemic. Yes, I hate what's going on. But guys, God is working behind the scenes in ways we cannot even see. And I would say this about raising kids. We did homeschool our 4 girls. And again, they were 4 under the age of 2. Now they're 20, 19, and twins are 18. And love them. They're the best. They love Jesus. They love the church. They love God. They love us. I would say this. You got to understand the different phases of raising kids, okay? You're going to want to write this down if you're watching. But the first, from 0 to 5, get control. You speak once and they listen. I do not understand parents counting. Like, you're telling them you have several opportunities to rebel. Disobey. One.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
She just disciplined us. Fine.
Did you hit him? All right, so 0 to 5, get control. Get control.
Stand
your husband, okay?
You're just getting so excited.
I'm giving it till 3 to. Anyway.
All right, because you've been in the store, or I've been in the store in America, especially, where it's like, you know, the mom is like 1, and the kid's like, I hate you. I hate you. 2. I'm at 2. You want me to take away your toys at home? 2.5. And then I'm gonna get to 3. Do you want me to get to 3? I'm on the other aisle, like 3, Jimmy. Like, Mom, what's taking so long? This is ridiculous. And I see so many parents parenting that way, and I'm like, I feel sorry for you. I can help you. I can take a lot of stress out of your parenting if you just get control. So we would speak one time and then a discipline. I'm not saying to beat your kids. I'm not saying to abuse them in any way. We would have even some flick on the cheek sometimes, just to kind of get their attention. Like, if I say that, I get a little pain in this general area. Like, but I do believe you got to get control. All right, 0 to 5, get control. 6 to 12 is all training. You're instilling values into them. You're helping them know who we are as a family. Here's our family value. Maybe in the quarantine, just even write out, help them, let them participate. Guys, what do our family crest to be? Our values. And then 14 to 18-ish. And I'll say 18-ish, and I'll explain that. But that's now coaching. You turn into a coach where they're wanting to sprout their wings a little bit. And then 18-ish and beyond, that's where you as a parent become a consultant. Okay, listen, I said 18-ish because some parents, some kids are not ready to move into phase 4. A lot of kids think they are. I'm 18. I'm grown. Well, whoa. Hold on. Let me tell you what grown looks like. When you're ready to move into this 4th phase of consulting, that means you don't need any more money from me. and you don't need a roof over your head from me. Are you ready? Are you saying that you're ready for phase 4? No, Mom and Dad. I think I'm going to stay in phase 3 in coaching. Here's another problem. Here's another problem. A lot of parents are trying to get control in phase 3, and it's almost too late.
Yeah. Sure.
Because what's cute at 4 is not cute at 14.
No.
You know, that rebellion or that. So we disciplined a lot and very consistently for the first 5 to 8 years. After that,
are you disciplined? So, like, were you very strict about time out? Were you very strict about taking things away? How did you guys do it in that age? From
no, I know a lot of people don't believe in spanking. We spanked our kids a little bit, but never abuse, never leaving a mark. It was a little bit on the bootay. I think there was a little extra cushion down there. And, you know, I say that jokingly, but parents, you need to know, do not abuse your kids. Do not abuse your kid. There's no reason for it. Don't discipline out of anger. It's not beating them for 30 seconds or a minute even. It's just a little something to let them know that we're getting your attention. And again, for us, it was the flick on the cheek a lot, because we only disciplined for lying and rebellion. We did not ever discipline for spilling milk, breaking a dish. That's kids being a kid. Only rebellion and lying, because we're trying to parent their heart. Every child has a bent in the wrong direction, and our job as parents is to curve the bent so that they fly straight like an arrow, because an arrow that has a bent, even if it's a little bit, it's going to fly this way. It will not hit the intended target. So timeout, you could use timeouts if you want, but it's something that is consistent, and no means no. Yes means yes.
Listen, that's amazing. Just so you guys know, this whole family of pups just walked in, and we have to get them out the room. And the 7-year-old mom of the house
pushed the door open.
Pushed the door open. So sorry.
Hey, you need to get control of those pups.
I know.
0 to 5.
He's out of control. I'm gonna get control of him. We're really started coaching the mom, but she's sort of Sorry, guys.
How many?
We my wife thinks 4 pets. We should have 4 pets. So about a year ago we didn't have any pets, and 12 months later we have 4 pets. And
there's a proverb say, an empty stable stays clean but brings in no
I'm
profit.
but I do clean up and feed them and do everything for them, even though none of them were my idea. So
I've heard it said that if aliens came to planet Earth, they would think that dogs ran the earth, because us humans follow behind them and pick up their poop, feed them. It's like we serve them, you know.
They're with cats, hey, like modern dogs.
Modern dogs are the new cats. Listen, you guys just dropped serious wisdom bombs, and just even those 3 stages, I'm blown away.
4 stages.
4 stages. Well, and the 3, and then coaching, and then releasing into. But amazing. And like I said to everyone, we're going to keep this up. Please get your friends to watch it. I'm going to get Leanne to do another question. And then,
This is quite a specific one, but it came in, and I think it would be awesome to get your advice on this. Just advice to parents who are walking through infertility, who've been trying to conceive for many years. Obviously that can put a lot of strain on a relationship, and just from a godly perspective, your advice, how you would tell them to walk through it.
I think overall I know it's a financial investment for many. It's a time investment. It's a physical bodily investment, and a relational investment. There are dreams in every woman when they want to have something that is so needed, which is, and wanting it. And I want to be so careful in saying this, to desire something that they feel that is out of reach for them. And I know for many, it's a dream, but I believe in the Lord that heals and also answers prayer. And so for the one who is struggling with infertility, I believe the Lord has a plan for you. you wouldn't have that desire unless the Lord placed that inside of you. And across the board, I have seen many women where the Lord has spoken over them and they are holding their own children. But at the same time, I believe that the plan can look different. How the Lord will bring children into that family, whether it be adoption, whether it be a foster family. There are so many in our body here at Fellowship Church, so many women that have struggled with that, where now they are holding children, either through adoption, either through foster family, services, whether it's having spiritual children, where they're holding Bible studies, and many of them have miracle babies as well.
It's true.
So a beautiful story. I don't know if you follow her. Her name is Dawn Cherie Wilkerson. Mm-hmm. Powerful woman of God, young girl. Yeah. She's a great preacher, but the thing is, that was her deepest longing, and how the Lord answered for her. I believe it's the place of standing in faith that God will do what he plans to do. And so don't lose hope. They have 2 boys now. Yeah, don't lose hope. Don't be discouraged. I pray that your deepest desire will be fulfilled in 2020. Yeah. That's my heart for many of you that have that desire.
Let me add something else to raising kids. And I know you're at quarantine, you're on lockdown in South Africa. There's something I would say. There's a great book called Recreate by Ron Luce. And there's something also called The Windows to the Soul. I don't mean your eyes. I'm talking about there's a window to your kid's soul. And here's the deal. They're the only ones who can open it. All right. So listen, it doesn't matter how hard you try or how strong you are. You cannot cause your children to be open to you emotionally unless they open it. I'll explain. It's like a daughter comes home and her dad's in the couch and he's on his phone looking at whatever, Instagram and the news. And she says, Dad, some kids at school called me fat today. And he says, you're not fat. Go upstairs and do your homework. She goes upstairs, goes to bed. The next morning comes down for breakfast. And the dad tries to reopen the window. Hey, tell me about the kids that they were saying again.
Sorry. You hit me again.
You're good.
No worries.
Sorry. That was just so funny. I love you. But it's like the dad trying to say at breakfast time, tell me what was on your heart last night. And she says, never mind. What happened? The window closed. There are moments when your kids' hearts are going to be open to you. And it typically comes when you're doing something with them that they enjoy. So for a mom, you sit down and you watch your little boy play a video game and you don't say a word. And he's just like, every once in a while, you're like, man, that was good. Even if you don't even understand the game, just tell him, man, that was good. You watch as he pretty soon will begin to open up to you. When my daughters, we'll be at the beach sometimes and they'll say, Dad, let's go jump in the water. I don't want to jump in the water. It's freezing cold over here in San Francisco. And we jump in the water immediately. And then it's something fun that they inspired, they wanted to do. And then we're talking in the water. I'm just saying there are windows to your children's soul that you cannot open unless they open it. So it's doing something with them and not trying to, like my mom would talk to me in an effeminate way. Yeah. She would expect me to communicate like a girl. Yeah. Look right in the face. Women, they sit and they'll talk looking at each other face to face. Like just, what are you doing? It's, they're gathered around in little coffee shops. Guys, we don't talk like that typically. Yeah. I mean, if Andre and I were hanging out, we'd be shoulder to shoulder. Even our bodies would be kind of like facing out a little. We would not be facing each other with our legs crossed on the couch. My mom would talk to me that way, and she'd get mad that I wouldn't be that way because I'm a boy. I'm running around. I want to grab a stick and I'm like, so for moms, understand your kids. How your boys communicate is much different than how your girls communicate. Yeah. And I think it's just studying your kids, learning them, and then waiting for that window to open. And when that open window comes, at nighttime when they're like, go to bed, and they say, Mom, Dad, that's a window. I would go in, I would tell the girls a story every night, just make it up, you know. I was the best storyteller
Yes,
ever.
you
I think
were.
I was. Yeah. But those are moments, it usually comes in inopportune times or inconvenient times when you don't want them. But I promise you, jump through the windows of their hearts now, because when they're older, you're going to be begging for those windows to be open.
Wow. Listen, you guys have given us so much to think about and to apply. And this year, we're so glad and to see what God's doing with you guys, giving you guys a platform to speak to people. We've learned so much, and just keep trusting that God just keeps giving you guys the platform, because you guys as a family, just even seeing your girls, their love for God.
It's so encouraging to see all 4 girls serving God, loving God. It's just,
So thank you for sharing some of these key moments you've learned in marriage and with your kids. Lastly, just whatever is on your heart currently, and what you actually even saying to your church, and in this season where people are living not aware of exactly what's going to happen. They feel out of control. They can't sort of wrap their hand around it. What have you been saying to your church and even to your staff in this season of this COVID-19?
I believe, I think it is a prophetic season. I believe it's 2020 is the year of the voice. And I believe we have seen pastors, evangelists, teachers, apostles, but now you're going to see the prophet come into play. And the prophet, or the prophetic voice, is an established voice, not a freaky, weird, doomsdayer type of voice. This is the year of the prophet, where the voice will begin to point to the future of the church. So don't lose heart. God has a plan. God is in this. He's walking and roaming and finding faith on the earth. And he's wondering if in your house there's faith, if there's faith that can be found. So if the Lord is visiting every home, let's start preparing like he's coming.
Wow.
Let's start preparing as if we have oil to last through the season.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying to stockpile oil. What I am saying is, spiritually, let's start stockpiling the spiritual oil to endure the season.
Yeah.
If it happens in your region that you will be on lockdown through August, September, you want to think like that. We want to learn from the churches in China, in Iran, see what it looks like to disciple people, and what a decentralized church looks like. What does it look like? Well, now it's in homes. Now the church is in homes. So how are you going to be the prophetic voice, the prophetic body of Christ, to lead them, to feel the pulse and the wind of the Spirit for the day? We don't know for tomorrow, but we know for today what the marching orders are. Yeah. So don't lose heart. Trust your leaders. And just move with Pastor Leanne and Pastor Andre, and they're going to lead you to places where it's beautiful places that have healthy boundaries where you can flourish and thrive.
About every 10 years, there's some type of epic interruption, and you have to understand this is the environment that the early church was birthed out of. Right. Like if you read James, he's writing to 12 tribes that are scattered abroad because of persecution for their faith. They're living in caves. They were quarantined with no Amazon Prime, no DoorDash delivery system. That's how it was. And they flourished. So I believe that God's doing something in us to do something through us. And there's peace. If some people are like, are these the end times? I'm thinking about doing an end time series after Easter. I haven't decided yet, but the Bible says comfort each other with these words. Okay. How do you get comforted if you think everything's doomsday? I'm comforted by knowing that we're taken up before the tribulation, and knowing that Jesus Christ, this storm has not taken him by surprise. Right. And he has gotten us through every other storm. In my small group, I know we only have about 5 minutes before Instagram dumps us off, but my small group last week, I just told them, I said, guys, all we're going to do is talk about previous storms that you went through. Tell me about previous storms and how God brought you out. And one after another after another. I mean, it was an hour and probably hour and a half of people sharing how They came out of a relational storm, something on their job, got fired, but then started their own business, and now it's flourishing. That stuff that never would have happened had they not trust God through the storm. And if you read Mark chapter 4, in the series we're doing called So Others May Know, I have so many thoughts that the Lord has been showing me. But there are people on the other side of your storm. There are people in your storm. You know, the disciples should have been encouraging each other with faith. Instead, they were just egging fear on. And Jesus is like, why are you so afraid? He didn't say, what are you afraid of? Like, what phobias do you have? Because that list would have gone on for days. He said, why? Why are you afraid? In light of my presence being with you, why are you still afraid? Jesus calmed the storm. The Bible says completely calm. And then they make it to the other side. Mark chapter 5 and 6 and 7 are all ministry opportunities that never would have happened. I'm talking about the man who was demon possessed and God freed him. I'm talking about Jairus' daughter was raised from the dead. The woman with the issue of blood. All of these stories never would have happened had the disciples not made it through the storm. So Jesus is in the storm. He's before the storm. He's in the storm. He's after the storm. And you just need to really make a commitment. God, I'm going to put you first. I don't know. I may not be able to see it. But when Jesus says you're going to the other side of the lake, you could take that to the bank.
Yeah, I love it.
So good.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. We could listen to you all day long. You guys have been a huge blessing.
Sure. No, listen, we'll be listening to this over and over. Seriously, we love you guys. We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for giving us.
We love South Africa. We love you guys. How's my accent? South Africa.
I love it.
South Africa.
Buy your wife
You're just going to start saying yeah. Hey?
Sure.
Say yeah.
We love you guys. Praying for you.
Yeah. Praying for you guys. And just
and we're
thank you.
Afar,
we're learning all we can. Thank you.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank
cool.
you so
Love
much.
you guys.
God bless you guys.
Lots of love.
Bless you guys.
Have an awesome day.
Enjoy your day. Cheers. It's a great day. Yeah.